referencing table. Second one, R2, we call the reference table. But for this case, circular reference, R1, R2 are the same table. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Sometimes we need to do that kind of circular references. Meaning of circular, a table references itself. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Because sometimes, based on the business requirement, we need to do this. Yeah. Possibility. So here, I want to use our employee table. In our employee table, we have this supervisor field. Yeah. We know all supervisors are also employees. Yeah. So when we need to do some connection, supervisor and employees to be supervised, when we need to connect these two fields, we can use a foreign key to connect. But in this situation, R1, R2 are the same table. Yeah. All right. Yeah. The rule, yeah, so here. But when we do this, you need to tell DBMS this information, the foreign key declaration. You need to tell DBMS. But the question is, so here, there is some technical problem. Let me describe it. So then I show you the solution. Yeah. All right. R1, R2 are the same table. All right. If R1, R2 different, so first let me recall the situation where R1, R2 are different. Then it's easy to define foreign key. But when you define foreign key for R1, because in R1 you need to refer R2 table. When you refer R2 table, by the logic, R2 must be created first, right? Yeah, because in R1 you need to do a reference to R2 table. But when you refer to R2 table, R2 must exist, right? If R2, when you reference R2, but DBM is checking R2 and couldn't find the definition of R2, then it's an error. Yeah, because you reference a non-existing R2 table. Then contradiction. So in order to make your definition of foreign key successful, you need to define R2 table first before R1 table, right? Yeah. So then when you do the reference in R1, R2 already available. It's there. So then DBMS has no problem to do the connection. Yeah. So that's the logic. But here, our R1, R2 are the same table. When you, in your R1 table definition, because when you do the definition, the whole table has not been, the definition of the whole table has not completed, right? Yeah, has not completed. That means the whole table, the definition of the whole table is not available. Then, if you do the foreign key reference in the previous way, it fails. Yeah, yeah, it fails. Yeah. So in order to get around this technical difficulty, yeah, we need to find a way to get around it. So then, a different way, another way. There is alternative way, right? Yeah, alternative way. We used it before. We do not define foreign key in the current table. Let's delay it. Let's delay the definition of the foreign key. Then, in our table definition, no problem, right? No foreign key constraint definition. Okay, then no problem. Yeah. So we can complete the table definition without any problem. After we complete the table definition, then, do you remember we have a alter table statement? We can change, or we can do the foreign key definition using the alter table statement. When we do it, table already available. R1 table already available. So we can do this kind of circular reference. Yeah, that's the idea. Now let me show you the details. Yeah. Based on this idea, let me show the detail here. The rule is when you define a foreign key, the reference the table must be created. Yeah. So the DBMS can find it. The reference table, that means R2. Yeah. So this referenced, that's our R2 table. Okay? Yeah. Must be created. All right. How to define a foreign key? That refers to a table that has not been created. Yeah. Has not been created. Yeah. So you cannot define that foreign key directly. So you have to delay the foreign key definition after the table to be referenced is created. Delay it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Solution to circular references. Solution steps. Yeah. All right. Do not define the foreign key constraint within the referencing table. Referencing, that's R1. Yeah. So in R1, you do not do the foreign key constraint definition. Yeah. Yeah. Delay it. All right. So no problem. So your R1 can be defined successfully. After that, yeah. All right. Yeah. After table has been created, use the alter table statement to define the foreign key constraint. Okay? In the circular way. Okay? Circular way. Yeah. So the R1 table and the R2 table are the same in your alter table statement. Yeah. All right. Let's look at this example. Yeah. Employee, supervisor. Yeah. We need to define a foreign key, between these two fields. Yeah. SSN and super underscore SSN. These two fields, we need to use foreign key constraint to connect these two fields. Yeah. After employee table is created, yeah. So let's create the employee table without foreign key constraint. Yeah. Then we add this alter table statement. Yeah. Add a foreign key. Yeah. So here, add a foreign key. Yeah. So here we alter table employee. That's the R1 referencing table, right? So this is the R1, yeah, because this is the referencing table. Yeah. And super underscore SSN, it's a field inside R1. Okay, inside R1. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Then we need to connect it to, so references, that's R2. R2 the same as R1. Yeah. So the table name here, R2, and the primary key of R2. For the foreign key, this is we call the foreign key. Okay, foreign key is always associated to the primary key of the R2 table. Must be primary key of R2 table. Okay, otherwise you have problem. If it's not primary key, you cannot define the constraint. Yeah. So here you can see this is the no logical contradiction. Yeah. Yeah. So everything works fine. Yeah. So that's the way we can do that circular reference type foreign key definition. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Then, so if you, yeah, one point, let me say something. Yeah, because you may ask me why we define foreign key, right? Although I talked about that before. Why we need to define a foreign key constraint. Yeah. So later we will do more explanation. But here I want to give you the, just remind you the goal. Yeah, we talked about that before. Remind you the goal. So what's the goal? Goal, we want to use DBMS to help us maintain data consistency through foreign key constraint. Why? Because think about, if you modify the value of SSN, if at the data entry time, when people enter the social security number for certain employees, it could happen, some digit type it wrong, right? Yeah, that could happen. So one digit was wrong, and later people need to correct it, right? Yeah. Suddenly, oh, this digit is wrong, so we need to change it. When you do that, you change the SSN. Do you need to update the foreign key value super underscore SSN? Yeah, right? And your updates could appear in multiple locations, right? Yeah, because this employee may supervise multiple other employees, right? So for all the employees supervised by this particular employee, you need to update everywhere, right? Yeah. But another situation, there could be other tables also use foreign keys to connect this table, right? So your update of this particular SSN could impact multiple other tables. For our human, if we need to use our eyes to keep track of all those, is it hard? Right? It's not convenient, and it is hard because we may miss several tables, some of the tables, right? Now, through foreign key constraints, we ask DBMS to do the updates. Then we don't worry, yeah, because DBMS, if you define the foreign key correctly, DBMS will not miss it. Okay? Yeah. So that's the reason, if you ask me, why we define the foreign key constraint. Yeah. We want to maintain the data consistency. When people update primary keys of certain tables, you may have that problem. Okay? Yeah. All right. So next, B.4, violation of referential integrity constraints. Yeah. Yeah, that could happen. There are several situations when you modify your data, then certain violation, referential integrity violation could happen. In that situation, you need to tell DBMS how to solve the problem. Yeah. All right, so here, there are some simple ways. Yeah. All right. If referential integrity constraint is violated, violation situation. Yeah. First, when tuples are inserted or deleted, it's very natural. Sometimes you need to insert a new tuple, sometimes you need to delete a tuple, right? When you delete a tuple, that tuple may contain primary key, right? That tuple with a primary key could be referenced as a for a foreign key in another table. So when you do that, there is a possible referential integrity violation. Okay, so you need to tell DBMS what action to do. What is the appropriate action to do in that violation situation? Yeah. All right. When a foreign key or primary key attribute value is modified, right? Yeah. SSM modified, then there is a potential violation. Yeah. Referential integrity violation. Then you need to tell DBMS how to do the appropriate action. Yeah. All right. Default action. There are several possible actions the DBMS can do. But if you do not tell DBMS any specific action, which particular action to choose, DBMS will use a default action. Okay? All right. So what's the default action? Reject the update operation that will cause a violation. Yeah. That's safe, right? But this way, reject. So no change. Yeah. Do not allow you to make the change. Yeah. Reject it. Okay? Yeah. Because in that way, people can fix the problem. Okay? Try to, yeah. So that's the default action. Yeah. Other than default action, yeah. So if you can tell DBMS the non-default action, which non-default action to choose under certain violation, then no rejection. So DBMS will do the change, do the action for you automatically. Yeah. All right. Optional actions you can use. Yeah. You can tell DBMS. Yeah. Referential triggered action. Referential triggered action. Trigger. Yeah. So this term. Yeah. So in our DBMS. Yeah. This concept. Later I will expand, give you more explanation. Triggered. Here we have the first view of this term. Referential trigger action. When you make change on the referential integrity related fields, it triggers certain action. Yeah. All right. The first one we call set null. Set null. Okay? Set the foreign key value to null. Yeah. Because think about when you delete a tuple in R2 table, delete one tuple in R2 table. Okay? So the primary key, yeah, that tuple contains the primary key. It's gone. Then how about in the R1 table that references the deleted tuple, right? So there, it's very natural. You want to set the value to be referenced that primary key, right? Deleted, it's gone. In that situation, you can set to the null value, right? Yeah, null value, because you cannot choose any other value, reasonable value, right? So you set null value. Yeah. That's one of the optional actions you can choose. Second one, cascade. Cascade, when you modify it, so there you need to update all the tuples in R1 table that reference the modified value, right? That's the cascade way. So your updates is implemented in a cascade way. So that's the cascade action. Yeah. All right. Set default. Yeah. Another possibility. So you don't want to set null value, right? You want to set appropriate default value. Yeah. Sometimes there is because you feel the default value is better than the null value. Yeah. Some situations, yeah, especially think about some fields may not allow null value, right? not null. Yeah. If there is a constraint, not null. How can you set null value? So in that situation, you need to set a default value. Yeah. Okay. So here you can see we have 3 optional actions and 1 default action. The default action, there is a name for the default action, right? The default action is restrict. Yeah. The 4th one, yeah, there is a name, yeah, because the default is the restrict case. Restrict, rejection, yeah. Restrict means rejection. Yeah. No change, no updates. Yeah. All right, the default case. Yeah. All right, then let me use a simple example to show you how to use these actions in the violation situation. Referential triggered action set null. First example, the set null case. Yeah. Yeah. Trigger. Yeah. This trigger terminology. Yeah. So something happens. Yeah. When something happens, so the DBMS has some mechanism, yeah, internal mechanism to do appropriate action. That's the trigger thing. Yeah. So later, yeah. So we use the trigger. Yeah. Yeah. In DBMS, there is a trigger concept. Yeah. We use the we can set up a trigger. Yeah. Yeah. When some action occurs, yeah, because that action is very important. So then you need to define a trigger associated to that action, because you need to do something for that action. Yeah. All right. So here, look at this example. Yeah. And in our, this is the foreign key definition, the constraint of foreign key definition. In the definition, at the end, we specify the appropriate action for the violation of this constraint. Yeah. When this constraint is violated due to insertion, deletion, more updates, yeah, right? Yeah. So what action to do? On delete set null. Okay? On delete. Yeah. Where a tuple in R2 table is deleted, on delete. Okay? Yeah. When this action occurs in R2 table, yeah, one tuple containing a primary key is deleted, on delete. Then what action to do? Set null. Yeah. Foreign key in R1 table, yeah, it refers a deleted tuple in R2. Then you don't know what's the new value should be used. Set null value. Set null value, we know null value is like a warning sign, right? Yeah. So you put a warning sign there. Yeah. So this value should be fixed sometime soon. Yeah. Warning sign. Yeah. You put a null value there. All right. Yeah. So here, yeah. So the connection, yeah, like that. Now you delete this tuple. Yeah. This tuple is deleted. Yeah. Because the value is the same after you delete it. What should be the value here? Right? Yeah. So you can see the best option is set it null value. Otherwise, how does DBMS know what appropriate value should be there? Right? The DBMS does not know it. Human may know, right? Yeah. Yeah. One, you know, one person who is familiar with the business rules may know it, right? Yeah, but DBMS does not know. Yeah. So you set null. Yeah. All right. Put a warning sign there. Yeah. Someone needs to fix it later. Yeah. All right. So that's the set null example. Yeah. All right, yeah. And let's look at another example. Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is just one foreign key connection, right? Sometimes there could be several other tables refer to this same R2 table. Yeah, that's possible. So all other tuples in our, so that's the same table, but you may have, think about another situation. You may have multiple referencing tables. That could happen, right? Yeah. So, so the DBMS just keeps track of all the referencing tables connecting to this tuple, T2 tuple. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's this example. Yeah. Then another example, the cascade action. Yeah. This time we want to update. Yeah. Update the value. Here, yeah. This is the circular reference supervisor. Yeah. This time on update. On update. What's the meaning on update? Because when you do the update, you should update the primary key, right? Yeah. So you update the primary key. Yeah. All right. When you update certain tuple containing, yeah. So here, let's assume we update this SSN primary key. Yeah. That's the same table, huh? But when you do that, how do you update the super underscore SSN? That reference the updated SSN. Cascade away. Okay? Cascade away. Yeah. Yeah. That means the newly updated values are copied, right? Yeah. Everywhere. Yeah. In the, R1 table, all those tuples that reference this updated tuple in R2. R2 the same table, right? Yeah, same table. Yeah. So here, same table. Although R1 two copies, yeah, we imagine two different copies, but same table. Okay, same table. Then the primary key is updated. SSM primary key. Okay, updated. Then other tuples, refer to this updated value. Yeah. So they should be updated accordingly. Yeah. So you tell the DBMS to do that. Yeah. So we do not want to do the updates manually. So we want DBMS do those updates automatically. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All other tuples, yeah, equal to this value. Yeah, to the another case, if there are multiple tables refer to this employee table, using this primary key. Yeah. So DBMS needs to do the updates everywhere, right? Everywhere. Yeah. So that's the cascade case. Cascade updates. Yeah. Yeah. So so you use like in this way. Yeah. If you do not say anything, yeah, then the default case restrict, right? Yeah. So whatever happens, yeah, restrict, yeah, reject it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I think that's the remaining topics in part B. Yeah. So we complete part B. Yeah. Then we need to go to part C. Part C, I plan to give you a sample project. Sample project. I will post the sample project example. So we get started. Yeah, let me talk about my plan regarding the second project. Yeah, yeah. At this point, because we do not have a lot of time left before the final, a little more than 1 month. Yeah, yeah. At most 1.5 months, including the final period. Yeah. So we cannot do too much. Yeah. So I try to use a way doable for you. Yeah. So I don't want to give you too much work. Yeah. Try to find a reasonable way to let you complete the second project. Yeah. All right. So let me describe my idea a little bit. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Project 2. So remember, at the beginning, I told you, so we will use PHP to do this project, PHP. Yeah. And based on my experience, many students are not familiar. Yeah. So many students in this class, yeah, probably more than 50%, 50%. Yeah. Yeah. More than 50% students in this class not familiar with PHP. Yeah. So I need to find a relatively easier way to help you complete this project 2. All right. So here, my way is, yeah, I need to find a way to speed up the learning. Yeah, because you need to learn, right? Yeah. But with the limited time close to the final, I understand most students do not have much time, right? So I try to minimize the learning time here. Yeah. So how do I help you minimize the learning time? Through a sequence of sample projects. I will give you, several sample projects for learning. Sample projects. So what's the sample project? The sample project basically part of the project number 2. Yeah, closely related project 2, but part of. Yeah. So those sample projects already cover some of the features. Okay, yeah. The sample project already cover many features of project 2. Okay, yeah. And we use this because when you start sample project, so that's the learning process. Okay, yeah. Learning process. Okay, yeah. You need to learn first, right? Get familiar with the syntaxes of PHP. How to process, queries, arrays, for loop, basic things. Yeah. So we do not need complex programming techniques. Yeah. Very basic programming knowledge. Yeah. So then we can, yeah. So then after that, yeah. So learning, yeah. So I will post several. Yeah. Today, the first one, the simplest version. Then each one, I add a few features, add several features. Yeah. All right. So after you understand the code, yeah, I will also explain the code in class. Yeah. To help you understand the code better, faster. Yeah. I need to explain the main features in the code. syntax. Yeah, why we're doing it this way? The logic. Yeah, yeah. My algorithm. Yeah, because I may have some special ways to do the data processing. So I explain my design ideas. Otherwise, when you study the code, it's hard to understand. Yeah. So what's the intention? Why are you doing this way, right? You need to understand the coding logic. Yeah. So after that, yeah, after you completely understand the code, yeah, then I plan to ask you to do three new features. Three new features. Yeah. Yeah. So here, yeah, let me talk about. Yeah. Yeah. So your programming tasks. I will give you three tasks. Okay. Yeah. Not too many, yeah, but you need to practice a little bit. Okay. Yeah, practice. Yeah. All right. So these three programming tasks. One is the big one, main one. So one is a big task. Two small tasks. Yeah. All right. The first one, so that's the main task. Yeah. You need to do a feature. So I mentioned in class. Remember when I talk about batch insertion. Yeah. I said in our project 2, we may need to implement this feature. Yeah. That's the main task. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the batch insertion task. Batch insertion task. Yeah. All right. Insert multiple rows at the same time. Yeah. Not one by one. Think about. So you have several rows. Yeah. Yeah. In order to improve the efficiency, yeah, data input efficiency, yeah, so we allow the users to enter multiple rows for each submission. Okay, each submission. Yeah. Although you can do one by one, right? Yeah, but here we as a practice. Yeah. As a practice. Okay. Yeah. So you create an interface. Yeah. So you create a multi-row input interface. Suppose this, yeah, yeah. Row 1, because row 1 you have multiple fields, right? Row 2 you have multiple fields, but you have several, yeah, not too many. To be, yeah, because if too many, then the users may feel scary, right? Yeah. So you don't want to scare the users. Yeah. Just a reasonable number of rows for input. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the user can enter, yeah, put, then one submit button. Okay. Click one submit button. Yeah. Click enter, and all the rows are inserted by one insert statement. Yeah. So in your code, you need to write one insert statement to insert multiple rows at the same time. That's our batch insertion, right? One batch, yeah, put in one batch to do the insertion. That's our main feature. That's our main feature. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I hope it's not too much work. So here you do the assumption, because for some students, they may not be familiar with the PHP coding. Yeah. So they may feel hard. Yeah. They may feel hard. So the first half, we study the code, study the sample projects. Yeah. 3 sample projects. Okay. I plan to give you sample project 1, 2, 3. 3 sample projects. Yeah. Yeah. So we study the features, yeah, the syntax, the logic, you know. Then after that stage, yeah, we can assume, so you understand all the coding details. Yeah. Under that assumption, then you do the 3 new features. Yeah. This is the big one. Yeah. Then I give you 2 more small features. Okay. Yeah. Number 2, number 3. Yeah. The small. So you change one small place. Okay. So you change certain data piece, one, small place. You do some change. Yeah. To practice some special technique. Yeah. Not too hard. Yeah. Yeah. Not too hard. Yeah. In my sample code, I do some feature change using this technique. Then when I give you the new features, you change a different data piece using the method we use in the sample code. Yeah. So just practice, try to understand this technique. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So in this way, yeah. So my objective. Yeah. Let me explain my objective. Yeah. Here I emphasize learning. Yeah. So you get some experience related to database query. Yeah. When you modify the database, you need to do the basic database query. Yeah. Yeah. So you have some simple web application that rely on SQL queries. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Second, you need to get some experience of web programming, both sides, client side and server side. Our first project, we emphasize client side programming, right? So our second project, we emphasize server side programming. So we cover both sides. Yeah. So give you experience on both sides, web programming, okay? And also related to the SQL queries. Yeah. Yeah. Some experience. Yeah. So that's the main objective of second project. Okay. Yeah. So not too hard, doable. Yeah. But the learning is most important for us. Yeah. So we want to, get some new skills, right? Yeah. Get some new experience, new skills, yeah. Things like that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So within the limited amount of time, yeah. So we choose some special way to speed up the learning. Speed up the learning. So not from scratch. Okay. So jump start. Yeah. These 3 sample projects, that's our jump start way. Yeah. Quickly get into the code. Yeah. Yeah. Understand it. Yeah. That modify, add new features. Okay. So that's the whole design idea of the second project. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the remaining time, 20-something minutes, let me show you the demo. Yeah. So our first sample project, let me show you how to run it. Yeah. University view. After class, I will update the zip file containing two files. One, we need a database. Yeah. So the first file in the zip code, zip file. Yeah. It's a database file. Yeah. University DB database. Second is a PHP file, just one file. Yeah. This is a very simple project. So I only give you one PHP file. So these two files. And when we run this project, we only do one thing, view. We only view the data. That's all we need to do. We retrieve the data from the university DB database and show it on a page. That's all we need to do in our first version of the sample project. Okay? Yeah. Second version, we add editing, update, insertion. We add more and more features in our second and third version of the sample projects. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. All right, let me show you. First, let me get out of the PowerPoint presentation. All right. Okay, yeah. Then, yeah, because I need to run the IDE, so I need to, using my keyboard. Yeah, all right. So, all right, yeah, minimize this. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so let me start from scratch. Okay, so that means before we start, we have nothing set up related to setup step. Nothing. Yeah. So I try to show you all the details we need to do to run this project. Yeah. First, let me show you the source code of the project. Yeah. All right. Look at this university view. I zip this folder and upload it. So after you download, you unzip it. So you have this folder. Let me show you the folder. There are two files. Okay. Yeah. First one, universitydb.sql file, yeah, database script. Second, uniview.php, yeah, two files. Okay, all right. Then let's start one by one. Yeah, yeah. I try to complete the basic operations for this sample project in about 20 minutes. Okay, yeah. The next time I may need to explain the code. Today we don't have time study the code details. Yeah. Today we only run this project. First, yeah, here I assume, yeah, so everyone, you need to get your programming environment ready. Exam, yeah. So the best way is exam. Okay, yeah. So here I start this control panel. We need to start Apache server first. Yeah, start button. Yeah, or yeah, start button. Okay. All right. Yeah. So running. Yeah. When you see the port numbers, yeah, it's running. Start button of MySQL database server. Yeah. When you see the port number, it's running. Yeah. No error. Yeah. Sometimes some students may see some errors that we need to try to find a way to fix the errors. Yeah. So that's very discouraging. Yeah. All right. Now we need to run the project. But to run the project, yeah, first we need to start a database, right? Yeah. Get a database ready. Yeah. So here, yeah, localhost. Yeah. So here I have a link. So this is my initial connection. It takes some time. Yeah. Yeah. But after you because initial usually pretty slow the first time. Yeah. After that, yeah, then it should be very fast. Yeah, why so slow? Yeah. Usually it should not be that slow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you see everything here. Yeah. First, we need to get a database ready, right? Yeah. Here, let me see. Yeah. University DB. Yeah, look at here. Okay. Because I already have it installed before. All right. But for you, you don't have it. Okay. So here, I like to show you home. Yeah. Let me click home. We go to home. Okay. All right. Database tab. Yeah. So here, click database tab. Database tab. So you need to create a database. Yeah. So here, yeah, University DB. So here I just show you University DB. DB. Yeah, because I already have this one, so I use one. Okay. Yeah. I should have a different database name. One. Create. Button has been created. Okay. Yeah. So let's find a link. Yeah. If it's created, there is one link for this new. Yeah, this one. New database, but it's empty. Nothing there. Okay. Empty. SQL. Yeah. Tab. We can run the SQL commands here. Yeah. To run the SQL commands, yeah, we go to the database script. Yeah. UniversityDB.SQL. Yeah. Here I want to use the copy paste way. Yeah. Right click. Okay. Yeah. Right click. Yeah. Yeah. Right click. There. Open here. Open with a text editor. Open. Yeah. Yeah. Here I use this Notepad++. Okay. Yeah. That's the, all the commands, table definition and the data. Okay. Everything. All right. Here, copy paste. I copy everything. Control A. Okay. Then Control C. Right. I'll copy everything. Okay. All right. In the buffer, in the, all right. Then paste. Control V here. Okay. Control V. Yeah, all the commands here. Okay. Yeah. 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 All right. Then run it. So there is a go button here. Click a go. All right. No error. Yeah. So the database installation is successful. If you click this database link, you see all the tables, 5 tables. Okay. Yeah. So you can view the data. Okay. You can view the data, the rows. Yeah. So now it's ready for us to run the project. Yeah. The database ready. Yeah. So then we need to do the PHP project execution. Yeah. Next step. Let me show you how to run PHP project. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I should have plenty of time, 10 something minutes. Yeah. Because it's pretty easy. Yeah. So let me run it step by step. All right. I need to bring up IDE. Yeah. So remember, yeah. So for this class, we need to use IDE. So in the XAMPP, there is no IDE. So you need to download IDE. So my recommendation, either NetBeans or Eclipse. NetBeans or Eclipse, these two. IDE supporting PHP. Yeah. Here, I use NetBeans. Yeah. Yeah. All right. But if you have some other favorite IDE you like to use, it's okay. Yeah. So no difference. Yeah. If you do not have a favorite, so you can choose first, try NetBeans. Yeah. If you have some good reason to use a different one, Eclipse is the second option. Here, let me, on my computer, I use NetBeans. Yeah. Yeah. So open up. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Although it's an older version, yeah, but yeah, there are many newer versions. Yeah. So here, my old laptop, so I still keep the old version. Yeah. All right. So here, I start it. Yeah. So let me close, yeah, the previous file. Yeah. Let me close it. All right. Yeah. Too small. So although I can make the font larger. Yeah, I remember. Is it too small for you? How to make it larger? Can I make it larger? Yeah. Some action. I remember I did that before. Windows. Yeah. Windows. Yeah. I remember I searched before. Make it larger. Tools. Options. Yeah. Appearances. Right? Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I remember. Yeah. Yeah. So let me show you. Yeah. So yeah, so here I already have many versions. Many versions. Let me create a new version. You just look, yeah, University View, okay? Yeah. But I need to show you, yeah. So, it's not, yeah. You just look at the, yeah. For a new project. First, I need to create a new project. Okay, yeah, new project. New project, PHP, the default PHP action, next. All right. Then we need to give a project name. Okay, yeah, so here we need to give a project name. University View. Yeah, because I already have that project, so I type a different name. University View 1. Okay, all right. My project name. Then, so here you can see the URL. Yeah, all right, yeah. URL. Project URL. Okay, all right. Then, so we do not change anything, all right? So we do not use finish. So we get an empty project. Empty project has this default welcome file, this php.index. It's a welcome file. Welcome, so that means when you run this project, this default file is used. Default file is used. But here, it's an empty default file. So we do not put anything, any code there. Yeah. So our PHP file is not default. Yeah, non-default. Yeah. Yeah. But no problem. No problem. Default, non-default, no problem. So I show you how to run it. Yeah. We copy our source code into this project. Yeah. So here, yeah. So although a little small, but so you just see some, rough. Yeah, next time I will enlarge, make the font bigger. Yeah. All right. So let me copy, get a source code. Yeah, source code here. Source code uniview.php. We selected, we drag and drop into the node, source file node. Look at the source file node. Drop it. Yeah, see? Uniview.php under the source files node. Yeah, right place. Okay, all right. Yeah, see? Yeah. So the code, yeah. So I will explain the code next time. Yeah, today we don't have that much time. Yeah. All right. So that's the source code. Okay. Yeah. Not too long, right? Yeah. Because the whole thing, yeah, everything is here. Yeah. Only one file. For loop, we use for loop to display the data. The for loop display a data in a table. Yeah. Okay, all these things. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Query. So here we do the database queries. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Database connection. So these first few lines, that's the way we do database connection. Okay. All right. Yeah. 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 All right. Yeah. Now we are ready to run this project. Okay. Yeah. So everything is all right. Let's run this project. Yeah. Run, right click. Okay. Yeah. So this file, PHP file. Right click this file node. Oh, do we have it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I want to right click it. Oh yeah, run. Yeah, right click. So you have this menu, run. Okay. Yeah. You run this file. Yeah. Then your default web browser is brought up. Okay. Sorry. Your default web browser is brought up. There, we remember there are total five tables. So the top menu bar, the table names for the 5 tables we use in the top menu bar so that we can navigate, we can view the data of each table through the hyperlinks in the top menu bar. Yeah. So the default case, the first data of the first table is displayed, the student table, yeah, these rows. Then when you click a course, you see the data of the second table. Then you click section, data third table. Grade report, data fourth, and the last table prerequisite. Okay, yeah, so very simple. To get it started, we only do these simple features. Yeah. Only do these simple features. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. And the next class, I will explain the main features. Yeah. So simple feature. Yeah, but before, yeah, because I still have 5 minutes. Before we finish today's class, I want to talk about one thing. Yeah, one question. Before we finish today's class. Yeah. Remember, there are 5 tables. The table names, 5 tables. Okay. Think about when you retrieve the data from all these 5 tables. Do you want to write 1 query or 5 queries? Retrieve the data from 5 different tables. Okay. So one way is you retrieve data one by one table. First table, second table. Each table you write 1 query. That's straightforward way, right? But here we like to take a more efficient way. That means we want to use one general way to cover all 5 table retrievals. Yeah, all 5 table retrieval, we use one unified way to run. Okay? Yeah, yeah, more efficient. Yeah. So here, let me show you the main part of this feature. The query statement. Yeah, so let me show you the main query statement here. What is the main query statement? Yeah, look at this. This is the main query statement. Yeah, I hope the font is not too small. You can see a little bit. Okay, all right. 41, line 41. This is our main query statement. You can see dollar query, the variable name. PHP variable name, start with $sign, okay? Dollar query, it's a variable. String variable, the query will put it in a string, okay? String. Select star from table name. Table name here, we use another PHP variable, $table_name. Because this variable, we can use any one of the 5 tables. How about that? Because it's a variable. Yeah. When we select one of the 5 tables, then we just use that particular table name for this variable, table underscore name variable. Yeah, we replace it by, in that way, all the queries for all 5 tables, we use one query statement we can cover. Okay? Yeah. We just change the variable value, the value for this variable. Yeah. This way. So for this project, for all our table access, we try to use this general way. Okay? Yeah. We only write, yeah. So the ideal situation is we want to write one version of the query statement, one unified version of query statement covering all 5 tables. Yeah. Modification, retrieval, yeah. So all those things, one version. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. So because when I gave this project before to previous students, yeah, one student, I saw his code. He did 5 different copies. Okay. For 5 different tables, each table, 1 copy. Okay. You modify data, 1 PHP file change. But 5 tables, 5 different PHP files. For us, we only have 1 file. 1 file, we can modify all 5 tables. Okay. Yeah. So that's the efficient way. Otherwise, every action you need 5 copies. That's not good, right? Think about if you have 100 tables, do you want to write 100 copies? Right? You don't want to write 100 copies, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So let me stop right here. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Starting from next class, every time I need to explain the code a little bit, but we also need to keep learning the SQL query part. Yeah, we have a lot of features, SQL query features we need to learn. Yeah, probably half class learning the code, half of the class doing the SQL query study. All right. Yeah. Okay, that's it.